do you think AI is going to make better marketers or it's going to make lazier marketers?
It actually means two things. It means, first of all, to begin with, you have to create assets which are a lot more visible to AI and believable by human beings.
Right.
So it's not like a hard-coded 50-50 there, but it's more about like a 70-30 kind of a ratio.
What are the kind of content that really survives in this world?
Because the more you're able to simplify your brand and clarify the brand ethos that where you're operating,
Right.
and showcase to your customer what you truly are. So those touch points are the ones which actually build the trust
Got
and
it.
help in the final decision.
Got it. If you look at from a trend perspective also, there are a lot of old trends that used to be there 10, 15, they're all coming back now.
Absolutely.
And it's also because of this whole AI age.
We don't even know whether this content is AI generated or is.
Yeah. Hello everyone and welcome to the B2B Marketing Podcast presented by B2B Marketing Association and powered by Brand Story Digital. I am your host Saikat Das Mohanty. Let's talk about trends. Now trends are something which really drive businesses and business growth. Whether it is in fashion or retail, whether it is in food, travel, everywhere you see there are new trends that comes every year and that really drives the business. Similarly, in B2B marketing also, we have trends and that really shape the future of B2B marketing. In B2B marketing, there has been a core shift that we have been seeing. The buyers have now taken control of the entire journey. They are much more educated or they're much more informed way before even they're meeting the salespeople or the brand itself. What are they expecting? They're expecting consumer grade experiences, trust peer networks over brands, and demand value at every touch point. And now that's a very, very large trend. And this is a big shift in how B2B brands look at marketing now. Now, these are the trends that are becoming very real drives. Let's look at some of these trends today and discuss how it will shape the future of B2B marketing in 2026. To decode these trends, joining me today is a marketing leader with diverse expertise in cross-functional marketing research and strategy, including brand management. Please welcome Pallavi Pandey, SVP and Global Marketing Head at LG Equipments Limited. Hi Pallavi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Saikat, for having me here.
Oh, perfect. Thanks. Thank you so much for giving your time and coming here to talk with us about a very interesting thing, because I think trends are going to be interesting for 2026 and how it's shaping up. And we've been talking about this in last year also. We've seen a lot of those trends happening. Okay, now before we get into the trends and before we get into this more core discussion, let me get to one point, okay? And this is over our discussions, and even at the summit when you were there, you were very vocal about it. That and you also shared some really good examples, and then that's that, and how you think that AI has been overhyped. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I also have a very similar thinking, but my question for you is that when you say that AI is overhyped, so do you think AI is going to make better marketers or it's going to make lazier marketers?
That's a very interesting question. And actually, if you look at the way AI is getting adopted across, that's very pertinent as well, especially for marketers who are actually constantly reinventing their strategy to meet both ends of the spectrum. Do I address a human being? Do I address AI?
Yeah.
So that's the perpetual question which is in all our minds as we speak. Now, from a marketing standpoint, if I were to decode this, it actually means two things. It means, first of all, to begin with, we are not looking at Google rankings anymore as the parameter which is deciding how our marketing strategy fares up, right? We are actually looking at being visible to AI at one end of the spectrum and being trusted by humans at the other end of the spectrum. So it has to be a balance of both these things coming together. When you look at AI per se, AI looks for more facts, figures.
Right.
They look for more information. The AI actually synthesizes information. It summarizes it. It actually does the research for you out there and presents the information in a certain manner to the humans for them to eventually take a decision. So decision making, as I mentioned earlier as well, is not with AI, it's with humans.
Right.
Humans, on the other hand, are looking for more trust. They are looking for brands which they can, sort of believe, which actually have that kind of an ethos, which make them compelling enough for, the people to invest into them. So therefore, what works with human beings is a lot more storytelling, a lot more, sort of customer testimonial kind of content assets. Believability also builds up by giving right kind of information out there, by being present among people whom the humans trust, other people whom they trust.
Right.
So if you look at a very balanced strategy which brings together both the AI part and the human part coming together, is the one which actually balances the two very well.
Right.
So you have to create assets which are a lot more visible to AI and believable by human beings.
Right.
So, and that actually, you actually look at a, sort of, so it's not like a hard-coded 50-50 there, but it's more about like a 70-30 kind of a ratio, where you look at presenting your facts, figures, the entire content, the brand narrative in a certain way, more factual, etc., happening at the 70% of the spectrum, which appeals to AI, and therefore the discoverability happens eventually with AI.
Yes.
And from a human standpoint, because the decision making is still with the humans, what you want to do is to create the brand narrative in a certain way. Bring out the aspects of the brand which are a lot more beyond rational. They are a lot more emotional. So create the ethos in such a way that you talk about, like for example, if a brand is into sustainability or if it is into efficiency, etc. So those are the aspects which human resonate with more. So while they look at the facts, the decision making happens, the last mile happens with the help of the trust being built and all of that coming together. So your strategy has to be a good mix of both of them.
Got it.
So if I were to also simplify it, if you were being discovered, and again talking from my industry standpoint, from an air compressor standpoint, if you want to be discovered by AI, you need to put content out there which speaks about 15% efficiency being driven with the LGN compressors, etc. Right? And on the other hand, if you want to be trusted by human beings, you have to really put the brand ethos out there of what is the way we operate, how we are trusted by other customers, how we drive efficiency in real life, etc. So the entire brand narrative and the facts and figures, when they come together, is when the actual, sort of the beauty of the equation comes to life.
Got it. Okay, so AI visibility is important, but human trust is far more important, and it depends on how you are, and which industry or services you are there, and it starts moving accordingly, is what you're saying. Okay, now while we're talking about this, one point that I wanted to cover was, you spoke about content also, okay, and today I think the content is getting saturated with so much of content, and you can generate like huge volumes of content.
Absolutely.
Okay, so in your view, and especially from your industry perspective, because you're an equipments heavy manufacturing industry compared to IT services and all, which are very different. Okay, now when you look at your industry specific, what are the kind of content that really survives in this world? Because as you mentioned, we need to talk about certain productive things and all. So in your view, what kind of content really survives?
So
and that helps you actually helps you in the AI visibility. So again, I think learning from how the consumers or the customers are consuming content. I think let's just look back at that. And again, this kind of ties back to the answer that I gave earlier as well, that content is being created again both from an AI standpoint and from a human consumption standpoint, right? Now, AI looks for a certain kind of content. They talk about, what they understand is a lot more facts, figures, FAQs, sort of how you are representing your organization through the various, sort of touch points. And not just from your own media, but also from earned media, sort of paid media, all of that together. So AI actually synthesizes all this information and presents it to you in a certain way. So your content has to resonate that, and actually be readable by AI in that sense as well. So the content has to be a lot more factual if you want. Obviously the first layer is AI, so you have to actually deal with that as well. So it has to be a lot more factual, it has to be a lot more simplified, it has to be contextual in that sense, it has to really solve a customer's problem, etc.
And then comes the second layer, which is actually the humanized layer, where you actually are looking at a lot more believable content, which actually gains the trust of the customer. So a lot more honest responses there, customer testimonials, actual live demonstration of, how the product has happened, how you've built trust. What do you mean as a brand? I think that also becomes a
Those
very
are the
important,
kind of content.
So that's the kind of content which really helps.
Okay.
Because the more you're able to simplify your brand
Yeah.
and clarify the brand ethos where you're operating,
Right.
and showcase to your customer what you truly are
Right.
through the brand assets that you create,
Right, right,
whether it's your customer, your brand story, or customer testimonials, or your brand video where you're talking about product application, etc., etc. So those touch points are the ones which actually build the trust
Got
and
it.
help in the final decision making.
Got it. So there are two kinds of content is basically that we're talking about, and I think that's a good point also, because to be visible within the AI world, you need to have that kind of a content which really helps you, and I think the human trust will come only with testimonials and things like that, and that
Absolutely,
really helps the brand. Great. Okay, so now we're talking about trust and all of that, and let's now get into the probably the second trend that I would want to bring to and this is something which has been becoming a big thing for B2B brands. It's the revenue-led marketing, okay, and or revenue-led brand marketing to be per se, because brand marketing has always been seen as it's a top of funnel activity. Awareness will do awareness, and that's it. And then there is revenue streams who will do the rest of the things. So that is one thing. So how? So that is one thing that is on the rise. And along with that, I think also what I think is happening is that because of this rise of revenue-led marketing, what is also happening is the JTM is now becoming very, very precise or precision. Okay, there is no more spray and pray, which used to happen. Let's reach out to everybody and let's wait for the results. Now that's becoming very precision. Okay, now this is one trend that's really catching up. Okay, so your views on that, and why do you think this is becoming a trend now from a B2B brand's perspective?
Absolutely. I think you've touched upon a very pertinent topic, as in how marketing evolution is happening. There is a very evident shift towards becoming a lot more accountable for revenue.
Right.
I think the shift as such is also more from being looked at from a marketing standpoint as a cost center to a revenue driving center.
Right.
So how does that sort of translate for today's marketer? I think more and more with the advent of technology and with the digital piece coming in, earlier what used to happen was that we used to pick up traditional media and we would actually just pick up some newspaper ads or television, etc., etc. We had a couple of mediums available to us, events, etc., etc. And then we would just spray and pray, as the way you were mentioning, right? And as David Ogilvy once said, that 50% of the marketing is only relevant to us.
Yes.
50% is a waste.
Correct.
Unfortunately, I don't know which 50% is what. So earlier, that's exactly what marketers would do. They would actually go out there and just pick up these media mix. And then, sort of literally...
Given the understanding that, okay, if I do this, I'm sure I'm going to reach out to that
Absolutely,
audience.
So that was actually the gamble that we used to play with in earlier times. Now with digital coming in, you have complete visibility of the funnel and beyond.
Yes.
So you know what channels work, what channels don't work, what media works, what's not working, what do customers like, how do their customers react to it, what gives more traction. So every single thing is accountable now.
Right.
And now with this accountability comes more responsibility to the marketers.
Correct.
Because since you have visibility of the full funnel, you know what is driving awareness, what is driving, interest of the customer, what is driving consideration, and therefore what's translating into sale. And building brand loyalty, which translates into, future upselling or, cross-selling or just general brand loyalty and spreading the word of mouth as such. So the entire life cycle is now, even before you actually get visibility of, your customers coming in, you have complete visibility of that entire funnel and beyond. And that actually means that marketers have to be a lot more conscious about the fact that what's the kind of media that they're choosing, what's the kind of channels that they're choosing, what's the kind of mix that they take, and how are they enabling the customers in their journey.
Right.
And with that also, I think another thing which has happened is because there is a lot of content out there. Actually it's so much easier now to make content than it used to be in the earlier time.
Correct.
That's another evolution which has happened, right? With AI coming in, everybody can be a content creator.
Correct.
And with mobile phones coming in, everybody is a photographer and a media person, right?
Yeah.
So with that happening, what's also another interesting trend which has happened is that people have a lot of content to consume from, right?
Yes.
So they also become a lot more conscious of what is it that they're consuming from, and who is creating that content as well. So therefore, a lot more reliability on influencers, your key opinion leaders, and this parallel, the entire piece has come into marketing, where actually people are relying a lot more on people who they trust.
Right.
And what are their recommendations on the brand, etc., etc. So the entire marketing funnel, there's a big shift. Therefore, you look at splitting it into various phases. You go a lot sharper, and not just like the spray and pray tactic. You go a lot more sharper, all the more in the B2B scenario, because you have very clear visibility of your target industries, of your target personas, and you actually, what works in the market is the more customized communication you create,
right,
the better the reach and the output that you will be able to create. So I think that creating an impact is a function of the entire the deeper the marketing that you're able to actually put together,
right,
the entire deeper the parts, communication parts that you're able to put together, messaging that you're able to put together.
Got it. If we are looking at revenue-led brand marketing, okay, obviously you mentioned about loyalty and trust that is building, because of that, and then you also said precision targeting and all of that. Now, are you also seeing the reduction in your customer acquisition costs now because of this? Is there an impact on that? And are also seeing that the conversions are happening much better and you're getting better glory? Because when you used to do spray and pray, obviously you don't know how your conversion. So have you seen in reality that becoming a major reason why this trend is becoming important?
Absolutely. I think that's a natural progression anyways, because the sharper you go, the the more relevant you are to your customer through your communication. If I'm from a specific industry and I look in an ad and I'm able to understand and resonate with it, versus seeing a generic ad which is targeted for all, that makes a lot more impact.
Right.
So the sharper is your media plan, the sharper is your communication, the sharper is your the entire communication path that you've created for a specific persona from a specific industry of sorts.
Right.
Then the better the results.
Correct.
So it's a very simple math, and again I think from a messaging standpoint as well, the more relevant we sound to a customer, the more problem solving approach that we are able to take. And the more we are able to actually really give him a solution which helps him move up his do better in his aspiration set,
right,
and actually simplify his life,
right,
the better is the reach that you will get. The better is the output that you will get from the entire endeavor.
Got it.
And therefore the better the ROI.
Got it. Fantastic. Okay, so, and what about the buying community? Now, in your industry, I don't think so there is a decision maker who is a one person.
Absolutely.
So when you go to your clients, there will be about 6 to 10 people. Okay?
Right.
Therefore, precision targeting is also becoming very important, because now you're targeting to a committee. You're talking to a committee, and they are the ones who will be deciding. So, in your view, how do you really engage with this buying community? Because it cannot be one message to all of them, because there are different people in the committee.
Absolutely.
There is a sales guy, there is a CMO, there is a CEO, there is a procurement guy, there is a plant manager, many people. So how do you really think, from a precision targeting point of view, how do you target this buying committee?
That's right. Yeah, that's a very important layer which has again been added to marketing.
Yeah.
I think there are multiple kinds of communities. One is the community that the brand itself tries to create.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so social media could be one of the ways that we create a community. In countries outside of India, there are brands which actually create community for solving, basically just for the brand itself. And there are these neutral kind of communities which just pick up a topic. It could be technical, it could be application based, etc., etc. So there are multiple forms of communities which exist, and then now there is this rise of a certain other kind of community which is an influencer community again.
Right.
Now this is the person whom you trust. Right. And the information that the influencer is putting out there is something which is validated, tested, and verified by him. So the people who start following him have a certain trust in the influencer and therefore what he's saying and therefore the brands that he's recommending.
Right.
So as a brand, we need to have the multifaceted approach to be able to reach out to our customers through our own community, through the third-party communities which are there, or general forums which are being created by enthusiasts, etc., etc. And then there's this influencer community which we need to tap into. So we need to create an impact. We need to have like a holistic approach towards being present in all these communities, and making sure that we are putting the right message out there. A lot of them, as you would already know, that if I'm unhappy about a brand, that's the first time, that's the time that I will definitely go out there in any of the communities and start complaining.
Correct.
If I'm happy, I might not, I might not. But if I'm unhappy, I'll definitely will.
I will definitely.
So moderation of these communities also becomes a very important thing, because then you need to be able to constantly look out and do your online reputation management, and make sure that any sort of dissatisfaction or any kind of complaints from the customers are immediately resolved. So you need to be very active on these communities. Second, you need to watch the signals and constantly read the room and understand what are the customers thinking about you, feeling about you, how they're reacting to your messages out there. And third, to be able to mitigate any sort of negative message which comes out there, and immediately be able to address that. That becomes a very important aspect of community management.
Got it.
And as I mentioned, sort of the influencer community is like the latest thing, where a lot of brands are now capitalizing on them in multiple ways to be able to garner the best out of their the reputation that the influencers have created in the market.
And I think this whole communities are now, I think in my view, I think I remember communities coming like 10-15 years back, when I also when we used to work, and that time we used to do these forums and let's do, and those used to be the ideas that let's go ahead and do all of these things and all, and that it kind of disappeared and it's come back again.
Absolutely.
So if you look at from a trend perspective also, there are a lot of old trends that used to be there 10-15, they're all coming back now.
Absolutely.
And it's also because of this whole AI age, because of the content availability, and therefore how brands can really build trust, because now just putting an advertisement probably might not help. You need these kind of things, and that's a very interesting thing, that is coming up. And
so actually on that point, again, because there is so much mistrust on AI, community seems like a little safer place to go and have conversations, because that there is very little intervention of AI there, so they can trust the information which is there. Because of the so much of mistrust with respect to AI and so much of content which is being created.
Absolutely.
Every time you read the comments in social media, we don't know. A lot of people just put out there that we don't even know whether this content is AI generated or is it right? So people need safe havens, right? They need places where they can actually get the truth, and not something which is an hallucination of an AI.
Right, absolutely.
So communities also serve very well from that standpoint.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And in fact, I think developers, coders and developers, they have a large community, and they continue to, work, and they used to be doing that for a long time, and they continue to do that. And now I think marketing is now also thinking, okay, in this perspective, that is where you really gain that trust and all of that. Yes, absolutely. Now, do you have any examples of great communities that you have seen, or probably the way, and you also mentioned about influencer marketing. How have you used influencer marketing in your business? Some examples that can be interesting to know.
So Saikat, I think for me, influencer marketing is a very interesting space.
Yeah.
My take on influencer marketing is twofold. Because sort of I represent the B2B industry. I behave sort of very B2C, or actually generic, when we talk about brand awareness per se. And when you look at the end of the funnel, which is a lot more technical, when you're talking and discussing product specifications, when you're getting into the application specifics, etc., that is where you get a lot more into the B2B genre. So if it is at the top of the funnel, where you're just looking at awareness creation, is where you actually look at any kind of influencers.
Right.
That's my take on things.
Right.
So when we host events in certain cities, we really don't care whether you actually are, from an industry standpoint or from a B2B standpoint, or anything which is a lot more domain specific. But from an awareness standpoint, you actually do a little bit of carpet bombing.
Right.
And you actually just go pick up the people or the influencers which have got the maximum reach.
Right.
And so that at least your brand awareness gets through across.
Okay.
So now when you talk about a typical customer, right? I mean, I could be a B2B customer, but I still use a toothpaste. I still use my lifestyle brands and other things, right?
Correct.
So just getting awareness cut across is the strategy there is very different. You actually pick up influencers who just have the widest reach. The moment you go deeper, and you actually get closer towards, sort of consideration, or, actually closer to buying, is where you would pick up influencers who are a lot more domain representatives.
Right.
So they actually are domain experts, and they talk about a specific topic, either on a product application standpoint, or, how product usage standpoint, technical specifications, etc., etc. So all these things come into play a lot more deeper into the journey.
Right.
But I think for marketers, the first and the topmost priority always is to hit the awareness, and then sort of progress along the funnel.
Right.
So it's the twofold thing that I personally work with in my teams.
That's great, and it's a very different view. I'll tell you why. Because when influencer marketing comes, obviously consumer brands, they know there are so many influencers. B2B brands are very skeptical. Is this guy a consumer? Does he actually consume my brand? Does he know about this kind of? And therefore, generally B2B brands are very skeptical, and they don't generally go into influencer marketing. But what you're saying is a very interesting point, because at the end of the day, the influencer can help me get that reach, which will be general awareness for my brand. And that's also something which is there good, because if that awareness is there, and in this AI world, discoverability becomes much more easier also. That's one way I look at it. And then when you get into more product detail, that is where you get specific, which is a very different take, or a different way to look at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Perfect.
Just on that, in my previous role, I was looking at merchandise store. So we used to have shoes.
Yeah.
And merchandise. And how we looked at communities, and the entire influencer piece there was targeting certain travel lifestyle bloggers,
right,
sort of
right.
Bikers community,
right,
things like that. So sort of who's actually a lot more sort of spreading ourselves into specifics, but at the same time very targeted, because they would definitely have an application of a lifestyle brand, wearing the kind of shoes, etc., etc. But again, when you shift the gears and come into a hardcore industrial application, is where you actually look at this kind of a twofold strategy.
Yeah.
Because I think there's also a challenge in terms of finding deep domain expert kind of influencers.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
So, if you say that only air compressor, if you have an influencer, you might not be able to find anyone. But if you look at, just if your objective is just for brand awareness and, sort of awareness creation, is where you actually go wider and go more into the generic influencers who are just who have a very good way of storytelling, and they can create a brand narrative in a certain way, which helps us get across to all audiences.
Correct. And the content might not be very specific to products and all. It has to be very,
absolutely,
what you do for the environment, what you do for the, for people in general, and that's also something which people really relate to.
True.
Initially you mentioned about this whole point about how people perceive your brand, and this is what will really help in creating that perception. Great. We spoke about content also some time back, and again, content marketing was a big thing, some time back, coming back, and now AI has made it like really great because everybody is there. But what I'm also seeing is that the volume in which content used to be created some time back, probably a year, 2 year back, you can just generate content. Now I think people are stopping and they're just now thinking about it again. It's not just about volume, it's about utility. Right, so content is shifting, and that's a new trend that is coming because as you also mentioned, people need to be very trust those kind of content where it is coming from. Okay, so what are your thoughts on that? Why this shift is happening now? Any particular reason? Because you have great content available for you, so why not use them?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think there are two trends which are happening. One, there is a lot of content, and there's so much content. There could be generic content, there could be sort of specific content which you consciously put out there. And second, obviously people have limited time, right? So there's only so much content that they can consume.
Right.
And the second trend which is happening therefore is that because I have less time and there is so much content out there, I depend on AI. So for AI to synthesize, to summarize, to actually give me, sort of to sift through the thousands and lakhs of pages which are of content which is out there, and give me something which is meaningful, relevant, answers my specific questions, and gives me the answers that I'm looking for, sort of that kind of a thing. So content also has to be created from both the perspectives. One, of course, you have to be out there, as I mentioned earlier, for AI as well. You have to create content which AI can easily read, summarize, synthesize, which is unique enough and which actually differentiates your brand in a certain way through facts, figures, and through validation points. On the other hand, humans also look for content which is a lot more, so they are looking for content. They are looking for answers to the questions, more importantly. And they are they're looking for enhancing their knowledge. So there is a reason why they're actually looking for content in the first place. So if AI is giving that solution, they are happy with it. Otherwise, if they are dependent directly on the brand, then as a brand, you need to be, completely putting content which is absolutely relevant, which is sharp to the point, and actually solves a customer problem, or actually helps him actually move up in terms of knowledge enhancement, what he's looking for post once he's read the content. So both these objectives need to be met, and therefore brands need to be very conscious of the content which they create, and which should be addressing either of the two sort of ends of the spectrum.
Correct. And therefore not focus on volume. You don't need to have like hundreds of content.
Absolutely.
The same can be done in like 20 pieces of content through the year can also do the job. Okay, great. So I think that's a good point, because I think with AI it was like, okay, let's make content. Okay, let's have 100
everyone
pieces
is a content
of
writer.
Everybody is a content. It's so easy to make now. You just have to give a right prompt and AI is going to deliver that for you. So I think that's a great point, and I think I think people need to start thinking in that line, and how do you balance that and bring that out. Okay, perfect. That's a great point. And my last section, or this is a quick section maybe. I wanted to bring up this whole new trend of the B2B flywheel, marketing flywheel, because marketing used to always be in a funnel, the top funnel, middle funnel, and the bottom funnel, but I think now the modern way of looking at marketing is not a funnel. It's, I think, kind of a flywheel. It has become a flywheel now, which is basically, you talk about multiple things and all of them are cross-functional. All of them is feeding into everything. So you don't have to first do awareness and then this and then that and then wait for it. The conversion can happen at awareness stage. Awareness can happen at a conversion stage. It can happen anywhere, So your thoughts on that, and how do you see that evolving in 2026 maybe.
Yeah, and rightly said, it's no longer a linear journey.
Yeah.
It's no longer that, sort of, this is how the customer will behave.
Yeah.
With so much of access to so much of information areas and so much of touch points which we have created for a customer, the journey is definitely not linear.
Right.
It's an interface of physical, digital. You could see something physically, eventually purchase it digitally, or you could be in a physical place buying digitally. So there's so much of
things,
interfacing which happens. What's important for a brand is to make sure that you're making the access easy for the customer to navigate through. So, you need to be present in both the physical and the digital. It's no longer an option just to be in the physical space and not in the digital space.
Right.
Or be just in the digital space and not in the physical space. So, you have to align with the customer journey.
Right.
And the flywheel goes much beyond all of that.
Yeah.
So actually it's more about being present where the customer is looking for information, when he is looking for information, and being able to provide him the answers through the medium that he has chosen, he or she has chosen.
Correct.
So that should be the ultimate brand objective, to be able to give the right information to the customer at the right time, at the right point, through the right mediums, which the customer has chosen. So that really is the new flywheel of today.
And I think and also we spoke about a lot about this influencer marketing, communities, and precision targeting. All of this actually is coming together here, and not in a linear fashion, but in a flywheel kind of a fashion where everybody is talking to everything. People might be having a great conversation in communities, and that will lead to a sale. You never know today. Today we are not probably able to measure that right away, but I think if we put our minds together and our thinking together, then I think we can also start measuring that.
Absolutely.
How is a community or influencer marketing influencing a B2B pipeline? I think that's a great. I think that's how the modern B2B marketing is going to change. Perfect. I think thanks, Pallavi. Very, very interesting points you shared, and it was great to have that perspective, because I've been having discussions with multiple leaders, and everybody has a very different perspective of things, and it's very interesting to have that. So any last thoughts that you want to share with the viewers from the discussion points that we had? Maybe one or two key things that you want to really tell the viewers that this is how you can start thinking on the trends.
So I think as marketers, as our role evolves and as the evolution happens of marketing as a function itself, we are moving more towards becoming a lot more sort of revenue centric, and moving away from being cost centers to becoming revenue centers. And with that, I think there's a lot of responsibility to actually use the levers which are available to us, both in terms of AI and humanized sort of technology, and to be honest with the audience, to be able to truthfully put the brand message out there, and really leverage the entire communities, influencers, whatever that we spoke about. I think all of that actually stays with the marketers these days, and it really makes a lot of how your organization is perceived outside is largely a function of what's the kind of message which marketing puts out there. So I think that's a big responsibility that a lot of marketers carry, and that's like the way forward for the marketing community as well.
Very well said, I think, Pallavi. Thank you so much for that. That brings me to my first question I asked you. Is AI going to make us a smart marketer or a lazy marketer? Okay, and what I really take from here is that AI is not going to make anybody lazy unless you want to be, but I'm sure it is going to make you smarter for sure. And it also depends on how you want to use it, and how you are as a marketer kind of evolving yourself and making yourself upskilled with the things that you want to do as a marketer. And I think that's going to be the differentiator. And my key takeaway from our discussion, there are many, but I'll just talk about two things which I really liked. One is communities are going to be now the new ecosystem where you actually build the trust and distribution. It's not about ads now.
Yes.
Okay, ads are there, but I think communities are going to be much more larger. I think that plays very big. And the second one, I think, which is very important, is obviously the precision targeting, because there's so much of data today, whether it is audience data, whether it is our sales data. There's so much of data. As long as we can use that in a great way, I think we can create much more precision targeting, and that's very important. That's also the need of the hour, because budgets are shrinking. Okay, you go to your CFO, you will ask for money. He said, I don't have budgets. Okay, so budgets are shrinking. So therefore, how do you really build that precision? I think that's my two pieces that I really take from our conversation here. And I think people should start following that kind of these trends and see how they can build it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Pallavi, for here. And before we go, I wanted to just understand from you on something that we have already announced and started, which is our B2B Marketing Association. We talked about it in the summit where we announced its launch. Now we have a mission there, and the mission is to make this community much more larger, bring all marketers, leaders, innovators, together to build this community. Okay, and it becomes a place where people collaborate, learn, and create measurable impact on brands. So what are your initial thoughts about it, and how do you think this can help the entire B2B marketing community?
Right. First of all, I think kudos to the team. You've done a great job in bringing the tribe together.
Yeah.
And B2B is a growing community, and earlier, we used to always feel challenged because B2B marketing was not a thing in earlier times. But now, obviously, with more and more organizations understanding the importance of marketing, this has become a very important function. And for you and team to be able to get this entire community together, it's fantastic. I think it's really good because we are able to sort of support each other, understand each other, and we also create that ecosystem where we can learn from each other and thrive, of basically by just sharing ideas and sharing notes and sharing our problems. So I think that's a great forum, and I was a part of your previous event as well.
Yes.
And was really happy to see the entire community growing by the day. And all the best to all of you.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'm sure this is going to be a big thing.
Yes, perfect, great. Thank you so much for that. I think that's really help. That will really help us, build this together. Okay, great. Thank you again, Pallavi. Thank you for tuning in to B2B Marketing Podcast. Join us at B2B Marketing Association for more such conversations, insights, research, white papers by decision makers and industry leaders. Thank you.
The best B2B conversations don't just happen only on podcasts. They happen in rooms filled with industry leaders. Join the B2B Marketing Association and reserve your seat at the next B2B World Summit in your city.